Hitson, founder of GoodDoctors.Health. And in this series, we are going through just all of the different questions and different topics that you all have been sending me in our community of health. And we're just for the last 90 days of the year addressing the big concerns that you guys are sending to me, the things that you're bringing up, and what can we do? What can we do to strengthen our communities? What can we do to strengthen the bonds within our families? What can we do so that we are heading into this new year with a momentum and with just a much more better energy than happens so often. I've talked about this. We're coming up on Halloween, which is like the first inaugural holiday, as we're getting into this. And you know it is fascinating how quickly this time of year just gets away from us, and all of the different healthy habits and the different things that we've been wanting to do just start to trickle away. And the time change is going to be happening really soon, which means it's going to be getting darker earlier. It is just all a thing. So that's what we've been doing with this series. Now, with all that said, when we're talking about the community health, the topic that keeps coming up is families and this issue that we're running into with regards to fertility. And it really has been fascinating. So a lot of times the individuals that I am working with, I'm working with the parents. I'm working with the potential wannabe grandparents that are that are talking to me about this. But a lot of them have been sending their sons and their daughters over so that we can assess what is going on a biochemical level that could be contributing to the issues that they're running into with regards to fertility. Before I jump into that, can I just say, like, so every single day I'm going through, we use biodata. So we use your labs, we use your blood work to analyze what's going on, what needs to be changed, and what is your body asking for. And there's just definitely certain days where you just there's just some really incredible numbers and success stories. And today was one of those where, like, you're seeing cholesterol drop like 60 points with no medications, just a supplement. We're seeing, like, today we saw like pre-diabetic completely out of all pre-diabetes, just with some basic diet changes. Um, Individuals who are just making huge strides in their health and in their markers. I talked to a woman today who used to have like really extreme joint pain, and it's just gone. I mean, she's well in, she's well into the years where everybody just expects to feel old. Everybody just expects, oh, what do I'm I'm over 40, I'm over 50. Of course I have joint pain. And that's just simply not the truth. That's not what is really happening. That is not the way it has to be. So, for what it's worth, it is incredible, incredible the things that we can see reversed that are not supposed to be able to be reversed, especially at the different ages that we're talking about. Hello, hello. So one of the things that we are talking about today is fight or flight and how it impacts fertility. So I talk to a lot of people who are in that age range where they really, really want to be grandparents, and they are. And it is really interesting that nowadays a lot of young families are waiting to have children until later, which is awesome, and I'm all about that. There it was one really interesting thing though that so another podcaster was talking about how, okay, she works with a lot of career-minded women, and they're tearing it up in their careers and all of that. And these women that she's working with had no idea that there are increased issues, with regards to health issues and with regards to fertility possibilities as women age. And she was just astounded that the women she was working with didn't know this. And my daughter's in her 20s, and I went to her and I said, "Is this true? Like, do women your age not know that this becomes harder as you get closer and closer to 40 and definitely past 40?" And she's like, "Yeah, like my friends do not know this." So, number one, I was like, "Okay, good to know. Good to know that this is not like just public knowledge." And that's one of the reasons why we were having some different problems. But with regards to, and again, in the same category, with regards to fight or flight, so prolonged increased stress, it has so many damaging factors to the body and to your overall health. But in the context of fertility, it kind of only makes sense that this would be an issue. So if you're fight or flight, you're designed to be in fight or flight, like as as our human ancestors go. Fight or flight used to be like that 15 minutes that you experience that extreme angst while you were getting away from a tiger, while you were escaping imminent harm. Okay. But here's the thing is that's fine for 15 minutes. The problem that we're experiencing today is people are going into fight or flight not for 15 minutes, but for 15 hours, 15 days, 15 years. And that's where we're seeing the real toll on your system. We're seeing the real heavy hitting, and it is impacting fertility. And here's it kind of makes sense. If your body is in fight or flight, okay, that is an emergency situation. Frankly, that's a bad time to be pregnant. Frankly, if you are in continuous fight or flight, that is not a good scenario for a healthy pregnancy. I mean, just think about it from the standpoint of, I mean, would you want to be in that? Would you want to be in that environment? I mean, I don't. Most of you don't even like being the way you feel, much less having another human being experiencing that level of stress and that level of anxiety on a continual basis. So it does make sense why those who are under constant stress have more difficulty with fertility, conception. So it really is a very straightforward premise. So what do you do about it? That's the big question, right? And we get into fight or flight in a lot of different ways, and we cover that in we're going to be covering that a lot because it isn't just about obviously fertility. It's about it it's about like how you age. We do not age well when we're continually in fight or flight. Our glucose levels are off, our hormone levels are off, your inflammation markers are off. I mean, it impacts so much. And we use the blood work to find out where it's impacting, which ones are hitting you the most. But so, how, back to the question, okay, fight or flight is bad. Well, it's bad constantly. It's bad to be under it constantly. What do you do? And here's a few of my favorites. Number one, breath work. I'm a huge fan of breath work. And I'm going to tell you, I was one of the last people to get on the breath work bandwagon. I was so annoyed when people kept coming to me and my different gurus and then my different colleagues and kept bringing this topic of breath work up. And I'm like, I know how to breathe. Thank you very much. I don't think that that's going to solve the problem. And now here I am, a few years later, and I'm like telling everybody about breath work. So here is the biggest thing that I like about breath work. It's easy, it's fast, it's something that you can do in any scenario. I do the four count box breathing just because it's the only one I can remember. There are many great ones, and there are some phenomenal people out there who teach just incredible breath works. But frankly, when you need breath work, you don't really want this whole complex thing you have to go through because usually you got a lot going on. So I like the four count box breathing. So you breathe in four counts, hold four counts, breathe out four counts, hold four counts. And you only have to do it a couple times before. What it does is when you are in fight or flight, a lot of times people are they're doing like really shallow breathing. Like, again, like you're running away being chased by a tiger. When you can control your breathing, that triggers something in your nervous system that says, hey, we must be okay. We must be safe because they're not doing all of this shallow breathing. So that's one really fast, easy, effective way to get to trigger your system out of fight or flight when you're stuck. And I'm going to say, wow, I've been seeing a lot of individuals who've been experiencing just like full on nervous system dysregulation where they can't get out of it. Like, and that's just one of the first tips that we share is just, for immediate. Now, beyond that is where we really do have to start assessing what's going on. Where is this coming from, to create more long-term plans for how to deal with where this is all being triggered. So now that is something that I prefer to do in much more of an individual basis, because no two people are the same. No people's lives are the same. And it's really difficult to do, like, paint these broad brush strokes and tell, like, here's what everybody should be doing. I mean, that's not fair. Our lifestyles are so different. The way we eat, the way we exercise, our environments, our relationships, our careers, everything is so different, and where we're being triggered is so different. So that is something that definitely work much, much more on an individual basis. But from a broad brush, breath work is pretty amazing. So here's so for the most part, with regards to the rest of this week, we are going to be dealing with some of the other issues and different things that have come up under the topic of fertility and epigenetics, and just all of the different things that help us make amazing, happy, very healthy families. So I do hope you enjoy it and join us for the rest of this week's series. I hope you have a great rest of your day.